Hey, do you want to be a VFX artist? So do I. And welcome to the next tutorial. I'm going to share with you just some personal stuff that I've learned about the subject of topology, which is the most important aspect of being a great 3D modeler. And I'm going to share just some tips that I've learned over the last month or two, and even some work that I'm currently busy with, and where topology plays a very important role in making a good model and making it easy to work with. So let's begin why I did this. I watched a tutorial from Clint, who used to work at, everybody knows this place, Corridor Digital, and he brought out a live video streamed live on speed modeling, and he did it with a guy at Corridor Digital, Peter Franz. What the whole live session was about, they got a random object from the audience over Discord, and they would have to speed model it. The first session was 5 minutes. They had to model something in 5 minutes. No matter what it was, they modeled it. And then they increased the time, and they had 2 half-an-hour sessions, and I think they might have even had a longer session after that. And something that I noticed was that Peter Franz was very good at modeling. Very quickly, the way that he modeled, he got his shape very quickly, he got it very clear, it was good. And something that I noticed hearing was he said that he models a lot of stuff. He models stuff, whether it's probably creating assets for an asset store. Maybe that's how he makes his living, makes money. But what was interesting was that in modeling a lot of stuff, it makes a lot of sense that you would become very good at it. And modeling, 3D modeling, is something that I enjoy. I can spend hours upon hours just modeling stuff, perfecting the way it looks, and learning how to get my model looking great. And so that's something that was then the challenge that I took on. And I started modeling random stuff. I modeled a screwdriver that I randomly picked up. And of course, I textured it and I put it up on Turbo Squid to be sold. I also modeled this very cool looking case, and I didn't take it easy. I didn't say, okay, I'll try and keep it easy. I went and I dived straight in, took the challenge, and I modeled it, and I textured it, and I threw it up on Turbo Squid. And of course, I also did a shipping container, modeled, textured, threw it up on Turbo Squid. And of course, something else, which is a current project that I'm busy with right now, and I'm going to use it as a case study, because this very morning I came across something that I was trying to model, and I often found myself, not just with this, but also with other objects, having to just stop and restart again because I was trying to fix up a mess. And in doing it again, I learned how to model correctly and keep my topology as neat as possible, so that when I'm adding on and extruding and perfecting the detail of the object that I'm modeling, it became easier because of, from the start, keeping in mind good topology. All right, so let's jump straight in. Let me show you what I model. So here we go, in Blender we go, and I'm going to open up this project. And my project's, something that grabbed my attention was the Alienware monitor. If you've ever seen this monitor, it's a beautiful monitor. All right, I'm an Apple fan by heart, so I love everything Apple, but when I saw this monitor, I was like, this is beautiful. So I wanted to model a monitor, and so I went onto Google, searched monitor, and then I saw the Alienware gaming monitor, the 27-inch, because of its shape and specifically the back part. So I got into it, and this is how far I am to date. Yes, I will get this up on Turbo Squid as well. This is where I am up to date now with the model. I modeled this section over here. First, I did this various times. In fact, I stand to be correct, but here are my attempts. So I'm going to hide these. and you can see the first attempt that I had at just the bottom legs. Let's see what else. There you go. That might have been my third attempt at trying to get the base done, and let's see what else I have here. That was a whole different attempt right there. So you can see I've got my different attempts, and of course I got it right. It's not 100% because there's still a section in between here that I'm going to get, but I just said, okay, let me move along, and I did this section up here, and you can see with my topology it looks great. I think this was maybe the second or third time that I had attempted this one. And then of course I did the screen I did twice. It's very time consuming, but believe me, it's worth just getting it right, trying again, getting it right. And so yes, but then what I got down to was this little guy over here. And what drove me crazy was the fact that, number one, okay, let me show you the failed attempt. So this was the failed attempt. You can see I was preparing it just to mirror it, but what I found myself was trying to fix it. So you get into your topology and you're busy extruding and adding on, and you find yourself you've made such a mess. So then you attempt to try and fix it up, and in attempting to fix it up, you realize that you're messing something else up, and then you fix that, and so you end up spending a lot of time just trying to fix up. So number one, just looking at my topology on this side of here, if you're fairly new to what topology is basically, right, so let's read here. It says, maintaining good topology has a numerous amount of benefits. It's easier to work with. Like I've mentioned, you can make easy modifications to the model that has nice topology compared to a model with bad, messy topology where vertices just hang around randomly for no good reason. All right, let's go further. What is good topology? Beginner tips on topology and 3D modeling. So use four-sided polygons freely. All right. So in other words, keep your faces to four sides. All right. I think if you are modeling for gaming, I think they use 3 sides. So you can see here how I try and keep all my faces to 4 sides. All right. But avoid n-gons. N-gons are any face with more than 4 sides, okay, that have 5 or more sides. Use triangles sparingly. All right, I do come across triangles, and depending on where it's placed, I leave them, and especially if it does not affect when I use my subdivision modifier. If it doesn't affect it, I leave it, unless the software uses welcomes triangle meshes. Some do. And avoid using elongated polygons. 4-sided polygons should be relatively square. All right. So what you generally want, because where good topology helps is especially when you need to harden your edges on the side. That's where it helps. So for example, if you look at this edge on this side over here, if I want to add in a this guy over here, a edge, there it is. It's called a loop cut. So for example, if I want to add in a loop cut over here and move it anywhere along the mesh, all right, it goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. No problem. All right, I can even throw in another one over there, etc., so forth. But now where my problem came over here was that you can see that in trying to harden this edge, now there's more than one way to harden an edge, and that is something new that I learned, and that is just to bevel an edge. But again, you've got to do it correctly. That was something new that I learned, made stuff a lot easier. So if e.g. I want to, so if you look first of all over here, all right, let me just enable I got this edge looking not too bad, but then when it came to this edge, you can see what it's doing here, and that's not what it looks like. And then in trying to fix it, you can see that Number one, my topology flow is not correct here. If I have to put in an edge loop cut over here, you can see it doesn't go all the way through to this side. Even if I want to throw it in here, it's going to add in an edge loop in the incorrect places. I mean, look there, it puts it over there, and it's a mess. All right, even if I want to throw in another edge loop over here, it's bad. It's just an absolute mess. And then you try and remove some of the vertices, you try and get your edge loop flowing here, and it just gets to a point where you're like, okay, this is not working, let's move on, let's just start again. And I mean, I think the last thing I was trying to do was trying to straighten all of these vertices along the edge here. All right, which generally you like select them, because sometimes you find that looking at so actually this is a very good example. You can see that these vertices are skew. All right, and usually you do that just by hitting scale in the direction X and 0, and that straightens up there. And I could do the same scale Y 0, and then there they are. They're all lined up nicely. Okay, we can place them there, etc. And like I said, it just became such a mess. All right, and that just gave me the idea, hey, start again. I know exactly I need to keep this edge loop flow over here, same over here, and I need to from the beginning keep all my vertices in a line straight. And you can do that easily just by making sure that when you move or when you scale things, to do it in an axis. So for example, I can grab an X, keep that like that, or I can even just select my move tool over here. And if you have, I think it's under this option here, this drop down over here, it's this one. There you go. Make sure you have 3D cursor. I think it's that one. But while you're moving stuff, which by the way, I got the idea of using this tool from learning Maya, right? Because Maya, that's how you move stuff. Especially because you see these 3 little blocks here. The block represents a specific side. So this represents Y and Z, this represents X and Z, and this represents Y and X. All right, and so when I move stuff, I'm going to be extruding like that, making sure that my mesh is straight. So I ended up with this guy over here. Much better. You can see it looks, look at the topology. Hey, what a huge difference. So I just started again, and let me tell you, I must have sat for about 2 to 3 hours on this guy. I think it was about 2.5 hours. I sat with this guy for I think an hour. Yeah, there it is. It's 1 hour. I sat with it and I finished it off. The other one I didn't even get this far over here. And by the way, I use reference like all the time. You can see where I've placed my object as well, and it's beautiful because while I'm working with this object, I'm looking as well over here at what it looks like. And so there it is. But again, one of the most frustrating things that you can go through is that you get to a point where you're like, I'm working so hard trying to fix this thing, and guess what? At the end of the day, it's not even like the main part of the overall mesh. Like, it's going to be so small, and here I am trying to perfect it. And so that's how I was just like, you know what, it's not worth it. Let me just start again, get it right. It's fine. There's a number of things that I can actually learn in trying to perfect my mesh. And so there it is. Got it beautiful. You can even see how on my corners, the bevels, remember I told you how I use bevel instead of adding loop cuts in it. So I got that right. By the way, you do that by just selecting all the edges that you want hard after you apply the subsurface modifier, and then subdividing it and making sure that you've added in an additional 2 edges. Alright, and there you go. It's nice. I can work with this. See, if I want to add in edges over here, I can. If I want to add them in, okay, over there, but that's not a problem. I mean, I would do something like this and then select this tool of let's not say this tool, we're professional here. Select my knife, select, add in, press enter. There, I've got it in. No problem. Anyway, so my point is that topology is extremely important. And so I've showed you attempt A and I've showed you attempt B, and what a huge difference it makes. All right, and like I said, I didn't spend a lot of time on it, which helps because it's not a very important object in terms of detail. I mean, there's a lot more detail that I've still got to throw in here. Where is my legs, my base? There it is. All right, there's my base. So I should rather be using a lot more of my time on getting in all the buttons and all the other items that I still need to throw in here. So my strong advice here is that practice. All right, and that's why I redid that, because I knew that I needed to practice. The more that you practice, the better that you're gonna get at it. And therefore, when it comes to real challenges, I mean, if this was an actual job and I had a specific amount of time to do it, or I was also in a speed modeling live video with someone, it would not be an issue for me. But looks great, very pleasing. And so what I want to leave this video with is say, guys, challenge yourself. Look for objects around your house, and specifically why? Because then you've got the reference right up in front of you and you're able to look at the details, take photos of it with your phone. It's definitely the pro of having a Mac and an iPhone, because then I can just airdrop them. Anyway, that's a quick tip. Make sure that when you're taking a photo of your object, that your camera is directly parallel to your object. That way you are not distorting your object from the view that you're shooting with the photo, if that makes sense. And then drop it in as a reference into Blender, and off you go. There you go, you have a lot of fun. So that's what I'm continuously doing. And I've surprised myself, to be honest with you, with some of the stuff that I've done, because I look at some of the objects that I've modeled, and when I first looked at it, I was like, no ways, I don't know how to do this, I don't know where I'm going to start, I don't know where to begin and how, and my brain just goes, and that's fine. Just start modeling and you'll learn, but challenge yourself to model as many objects and perfect them, even down to the detail, as quickly as possible. And that's another thing that I want to suggest to you, is that I also watched some videos, try to get as many tips as possible on modeling, and I know that something that I picked up was, model the basic shape first and then worry about the details later, well, afterwards. Maybe that's a quick tip that will help you as well. But guys, until the next video, like this video, please like it, because I know you like it. You like it, right? Like it. And then subscribe to this channel to support what we're doing here at Active TV. See you guys in the next video. Until then, keep modeling. Cheers.